Good afternoon and welcome to the Midday News this Thursday. Here's what we have in the bulletin. Human rights violations by the state for the 2020-2021 period, a concern for Jamaicans for justice. And later in sports, Reggae Boys end two-decade winless run. I'm Krista Campbell and here are the details. A new report this afternoon with concerns about human rights violations. Human rights group Jamaicans for Justice raised questions about equal justice for all Jamaicans at a policy summit on the state of justice in Jamaica held at the Jamaica Pegasus Hotel in New Kingston on Wednesday. Herman Green has that story.
While acknowledging legislative changes to address crime, the JFJ State of Justice report reflected serious human rights violation for the 2020-2021 period. JFJ says it has had over 290 cases of human rights abuse, the majority of which were related to states of emergency SOEs. However, JFJ Executive Director Michael Jackson noted that police killings and the apparent delay or absence of justice are concerning.
We have the families of victims who were killed. They are left grieving. They are left in their struggles for justice. And it's on that reason that JFJ is unapologetic about our position on certain things.
The group points to the police still not wearing body cameras in several cases of police shootings, as noted by an Indicom 2021 report, as part of the lack of accountability that may support injustice. Some 35 police officers are now awaiting trial for murder or manslaughter, charged, but the court cases continue to drag on. They say violations under the SOEs, as described by victims, were also concerning.
Speaking with the detainees and the persons who brought their cases to JFJ, what we found out is that significant to their experiences were the fact that they were detained without any cause, detained within the communities, detained from their homes. They weren't given any communication or offered any legal aid once they were detained. Their family members had no information about the process when they were detained. And in extreme circumstances, you had persons who were detained up to a year.
They want the government to denounce these and all forms of human rights violations. While acknowledging the concerns raised by the report, Legal and Constitutional Affairs Minister Marlene Malahoo Fort insists there is a greater threat to human rights in the society.
It is not the state at this time that is impacting the rights of the citizens of Jamaica in a negative way. It is fellow citizens who believe they can do whatever they want, criminally so, heartlessly so, egregiously so, with impunity.
She argued that legislative changes are being made to address the issues raised. As for the insistence on SOEs despite the challenges,
all matters are under review at any given time, ladies and gentlemen. Until and unless new laws are passed, government will have to use the tools that are available to it.
Herman Green, TVJ News.
Residents of Crooked River and the surrounding communities in Clarendon are upset about the closure of the post office in their area. Now, as we hear in this report, having the services more than 5 miles further away is not affordable for senior citizens.
Someone across the street, say what do you need? No mares, don't come here anymore.
That's the story of these protesters in Crooked River, Clarendon on Tuesday, who now have to find an extra $100 or $200 to collect benefit from the government or pay utility bills. They say no discussion was held prior to the closure. The residents say that journey is 6.5 miles more.
Feel bad. Because when me go to Frankfield, me have to pay $600. And me can't walk from upper my yard to Frankfield. So me want back the post office. Because me cannot walk to go to Frankfield. To go collect my little parts and collect my life bill.
I know people from those who used to walk, come down here at the post office. Sometimes they even ride them donkey and catch it there. And come at post office. Now them have to go clear of Frankfield. That's not right.
The residents also say on numerous occasions they have been inconvenienced.
I have to also collect my mother's pension. And I take the vehicle and go to Frankfield many times, and they say don't come. So that is a waste of fare, and me just go down there and come back. The same thing happen when me go to collect my grandchildren part money.
But sometimes I have to charter a taxi, and we don't even have the money for charter no taxi to go Frankfield. Because right now, me have the shingle. Not even see church, and at 2 years now, at one time me come there. Because me can't even walk to come to church. Everywhere me I go, me have to take taxi.
They are now calling on the government to have the post office reopened.
We want it to open that everybody around the area can do their business.
Herman Green, TVJ News.
Business operators in Friendship Gap, St. Mary, protested yesterday over what they described as a poor service from the Jamaica Public Service Company, JPS. They are appealing to the Light and Power Company to address a problem they claim is affecting their livelihoods and putting their businesses at risk. Sandy Williams has their story.
On Wednesday, placard-bearing protesters took to the streets in Friendship Gap, St. Mary to air their grouse. The signs reveal that their grievance is with the Light and Power Company Jamaica Public Service, JPS. Business operators claim the community lost electricity on Friday. The power was restored on Saturday, but
after I came up, we realized that there was a low voltage. They called and they said they would send out a team within the next 1 to 16 hours. More than 16 hours passed. And 100 other one, we haven't seen any team, and there has been no improvement in the power service.
They argue that their businesses have been impacted and they are at risk of losing their establishments.
You have to use the generator. That's when I lose. But at the same time, I lose because it costs $5,000 for running generator for a day. So if you have running for 3 days, $15,000. No, yeah, 15,000. But you can't lose the production because if them spoil, the company now give them back ice cream and perishable item. Meat are the same thing. You have to juggle meat them for no lose.
All my ice cream products spoil. Everything in the fridge spoil. See, there are orange juice me have in there, and it's an ice cream fridge. See, there no fan because the fan is a 220 fan. Everybody know that 220, you pay less current for it. So the fridge then we can't plug them in. All of this have to come from way around the kitchen because that's the only leg that come in. Everything else is 0, 0, 0.
Right now, a 3 fridge and 1 plug. And that's dangerous. If you have 2 plug working and you have 5 freezer, you have to pressure the 2 plug with the 5 freezer. You know, you can't leave your freezer like all this. We can't plug out this and go at night time. It can cause fire because you know overloading the whole electrical fire. So.
The business operators claim they've made numerous calls to the JPS but failed to get a response.
Me call them till me tired. Me stop calling. JPS. Me call them till me tired. Me have how much number where they give me, control number where they say they follow up. All now.
JPS stop the call now because they won't answer the phone anymore. So you're calling? Yes, I'm calling direct now and then just hang up on me. Then they wait and hang up the phone. How long have you been calling them? I call from Friday now. Call Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and they usually respond. They gave me a number once and I forget it at home. But they don't, because I stopped taking calls today. They just hang up.
I really like them send out that team, find out what wrong and fix it. Because I don't like you see no deduction in your bill or anything. But if anything you see an increase, you know? So we had a big disadvantage.
When contacted, Public Relations Manager at the JPS, Audrey Williams, says JPS teams visited the community on Wednesday, after which power was fully restored by 6 p.m. Sandy Williams, TVJ News.
And it's time for our first break on the Midday News, but stay with us. More stories when we return. Welcome back to the Midday News. The ongoing fire at the retirement dump in Montego Bay, St. James has drawn the attention of the opposition spokesperson on local government, Denise Daly. Now, Ms. Daly is concerned about the major health risk that the fire poses to residents. She wants it to be quickly addressed, as Cordian Barrett now reports.
Residents of Montego Bay and tourists alike have been dealing with smoke nuisance from the fire at retirement dump for years. The dump has a history of fires that sometimes get out of control. Ms. Daly says she was told the dump would have been upgraded due to its deplorable state.
They would put into the dump fire suppression, something that will be able to quickly out fires as soon as they started. Nothing has been done.
She added that the extent of the fire is due to a lack of maintenance.
But when we have these fires, we have readily available proper equipment, heavy-duty equipment, and also that we have the covering, the things that the dirt, whatever that needed to be able to get the fire out. We need to put these things in place because the dump is not equipped. And because it is not equipped, once you have a fire, you have smoke at least for a week.
She also addressed the frequent fires at the Riverton dump in Kingston.
I strongly believe that some of it is deliberate. And we know the root causes, I would not want to make mention of it right now, but we know the root causes. However, the dumps must be secured. We must have proper security on the dumps, Montego Bay, no security. Riverton, no security. Or if there is any security, very little.
She is calling for the government to implement measures at all dump sites to prevent further issues. Cody-Ann Barrett, TVJ News.
The Andrew Holness-led government is seeking to further strengthen its relationship with the United States, this time on the energy and security front. Prime Minister Andrew Holness gave the indication following his meeting with U.S. Vice President Kamala Harris on Wednesday.
Jamaica will redouble our efforts in tackling illegal trafficking of weapons and persons, the lottery scam, and other transnational crimes. To address this in a decisive way, we are seeking to foster increased partnerships and collaboration on information and intelligence sharing, extradition, and other law enforcement efforts. On the economic development front, we reiterated that we would welcome refocused attention on Jamaica in areas of security, energy, capacity building, infrastructure, and nearshore digital technology hubs.
We talked extensively about the Prime Minister's approach and the need of Jamaica to continue to invest in its prosperity, in its economic health and strength. To that end, the United States, and I am announcing today, will be investing $20 million to assist in the strengthening and the expansion of Jamaica's commerce in a way that we fully intend will have an impact in strengthening the economy of Jamaica and drive economic growth. We also recognize, just as it has been in the United States, we also discussed quite extensively the impact of the climate crisis on island nations, and in particular on Jamaica. We discussed, and from my perspective, I recognize and we recognize that the world's emissions have an outsized effect in the Caribbean, including on Jamaica. And I thank the Prime Minister for his leadership in that regard, and we are eager to partner with the Prime Minister on what we can do to invest and prioritize climate resilience, but also an investment in renewable energies, understanding that this is about energy sources, and it is also about human capital and development and supporting the economy there.
Prime Minister Holness is in Washington, D.C., where he's meeting with high-level officials from the U.S. government. He will also hold discussions with members of the diaspora. It comes as Jamaica celebrates 60 years of independence this year. There's a call for greater collaboration with the Food and Agricultural Organization, FAO, to boost local and regional agricultural output and food security. Agriculture Minister Pernell Charles Jr. says despite the assistance provided under FAO's Resilience in Agriculture and Market Systems for COVID-19 Response Project, much more is needed.
FAO could continue to provide technical assistance and enhance that in terms of supporting countries to address the effects of the COVID-19 pandemic, particularly on those rural, vulnerable areas. So promoting the necessary transformation that's required to boost rural economic activities.
He also called for an increase in public-private partnerships to strengthen national innovation systems and provide technical assistance and capacity development for the implementation of mobile-based innovations for development. He says there is a need for post-harvest and financial innovations, particularly for the integration of women and youth in agriculture. Mr. Charles Jr. was speaking at the 37th session of the FAO Regional Conference for Latin America and the Caribbean yesterday in Ecuador. And for the Business Minute, we go now to Cody and Barrett.
World of business. Remittances to Jamaica increased in February. The Bank of Jamaica says remittances amounted to $225.2 million. That was 6% or almost $13 million higher than in February 2021. That increased total remittances for the fiscal year to February to $2.96 billion. Inflows were $352 million higher than the same period in 2021. The United States remains Jamaica's main source market, accounting for 71% of total remittances. And in business internationally, oil prices have fallen sharply after reports that the U.S. is set to take new steps to bring down high fuel cost. The Biden administration is reportedly considering the release of up to 180 million barrels of oil in the coming months from the Strategic Petroleum Reserve. If confirmed, this will be the largest ever release since the reserve was created in 1974. The war in Ukraine has rocked global energy markets in recent weeks over concerns that supplies will be cut. And that's it for the Business Minute. I'm Cody.
And Sandy Williams now has your top regional and international stories.
In the region, CARICOM Secretary General Dr. Carla Barnett has welcomed the announcement by St. Lucia that it intends to become a full member of the Trinidad-based Caribbean Court of Justice, CCJ. The CCJ was established in 2001 to replace the London-based Privy Council as the region's final court. While delivering the traditional throne speech at the State of a New Parliamentary Term on Tuesday, St. Lucia's Acting Governor General Cyril Errol Charles told legislators that the government is committed to addressing the country's destiny as an independent nation, both tacitly and tangibly. Charles said a committee under the chairman of former CCJ President Sir Dennis Bryan has been appointed to prepare the way for St. Lucia's accession to the CCJ. On the international scene, Chinese authorities are continuing to maintain restrictions on the city of Shanghai as COVID infections there have been surging lately. The city has reported over 25,000 cases since the start of March, according to authorities, as it grapples with a lockdown. This latest Omicron-fueled surge in cases is China's worst outbreak since Wuhan 2 years ago. Videos circulating on social media show hundreds of COVID patients filling up crowded hospitals. Since confirming its first Omicron case in mid-December, mainland China's average new daily case count has surged from double digits to more than 5,000. There are more than 65,000 active cases and counting. The virus has spread to 29 provinces and regions. The lockdowns and mass testing bring life to a near halt in many places and could have global economic impacts. And those were the top regional and international stories. I'm sorry.
We go to another break now to make way for your Midday Sports Report with Simon Preston when we return. Simon.
Welcome back. It's now time for Midday Sports. I'm Simon Preston. The twins of Atia and Atina Clayton out of Edwin Allen headline the list in Jamaica's squad for the Carifta Track and Field Championships set to run from April 16 to 18 in Kingston. The duo will also be boosted by the likes of Brianna Liston, Serena Cole and Samantha Price in the under-20 girls list. In the boys equivalent, Brian Lavelle heads the list alongside Kingston College captain Buaji Nkrumah and Kobe Lawrence. Corey Bennett has been assigned as the head coach of the team. Jamaica has topped the medal table at the Carifta Games every year since 1985. To football we go now as Reggae Boys attacker Leon Bailey and interim coach Paul Hall feels the Jamaicans are heading in the right direction following their 2-1 win over Honduras at the National Stadium on Wednesday. This result ended Jamaica's 21-year run without a win at home in the final round of the qualifiers.
A team that's willing to learn and go forward. For me, I take this game as building, and I see something positive for this team, and we're just excited to move forward. And hopefully we can just stick together as a team, be happy while playing, and just enjoy the game, and bring out the best version of ourselves, and we're doing that so far as a team, which is good.
I like it to look a certain way because I think Jamaica should have an identity and a style of play that we're instantly recognisable to everybody else. You know, everybody else does. So yeah, I mean, I'm glad for that to happen. You know, I want there to be a lot of firsts for this team because that way they can at least see that the victory today just gave us a little bit of happiness, got it off our back. You know, we were desperate to get it against El Salvador here the last time, and we should have got it. And I was thinking the way how we were finishing in the first half, I think it was going to happen again. But you know, we managed to get that result and see it out.
The Jamaicans will now turn their attention to the CONCACAF Nations League, which is set for June. Reggae Girls striker Tiffany Cameron scored a double for FC Yor as they defeated Ferencváros 2-1 in the semi-finals of the Women's Hungarian Cup on Wednesday. The 30-year-old netted in the 26th and 59th minute to help her club advance to the final. Countrywoman Alika Keane provided the assist for Cameron's second goal. The two-timer brings Cameron's tally for the season to 10 goals from 11 appearances in all competitions. Cameron, Keane and FC Yor will now face another Reggae Girl in Marla Sweatman and Victoria FC in the final on April 27. And finally this afternoon, Jamaica's women's rugby sevens team have been drawn to face Canada, Mexico, the Cayman Islands, Trinidad and Tobago and the Dominican Republic in the 2022 Rugby Sevens World Cup qualifiers in the Bahamas in April. The six-team tournament will see only the group winner qualifying for the World Cup, which is slated for South Africa in September. These qualifiers will take place from April 23 to 24, which is the same weekend as the men's qualifiers. And that is it for your Midday Sports Report. I'm Simon Preston. Krista, it's over to you.
Thank you so much, Simon. And that's how we wrap things up here on the Midday News today. I'm Krista Campbell. Join us again at 7 for Primetime News. On behalf of the news, sports and production teams, good afternoon.